See. Hey everyone, happy Marketing Monday. I hope you are well. I hope you had a great weekend. I'm Debra Dixon-Anderson from Light of Gold PR and Gold Wellness Circle, and it's Marketing Monday. I'm so excited to have Katanni Gray on with us. I am beating myself up for not having her as a guest before because we're partners. We've known each other for years. She should have been a guest on Marketing Monday. And today our topic is about holiday hustle, baby. Holiday hustle for marketing your business and getting some more business and getting yourself kind of situated for jumpstarting your 2025 for your new year to be successful. And so we're going to be talking about marketing and branding. Welcome, Katanni.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Uh,
Yes.
I guess it is long overdue, but we are
Long
here. We are
overdue.
here now.
Yeah, but you're here now, and this is the perfect time to have you as a guest. Before we get started, I'm just going to share a little bit about Light of Gold PR. We're an 18-year-old PR marketing, branding, digital company. We also do events. We do sales. Katanni is one of our event partners as well. As a matter of fact, we have our upcoming holiday event coming up on Tuesday, December 3rd. It's going to be held at Chelsea Bell Restaurant, right at 26th Street and 8th Avenue in Manhattan. So if you're local, please come and join us. It's going to be from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. And it's going to be all about networking. And you know what? Katanni doesn't even know this. We found a school to partner with for our toy drive. So we're going to be giving back. And so we're super excited about that. But when you come to this event, it's a great event to meet other business owners, other business people, to market what you do. And when we do our speed networking, you're going to love it because you get a chance to meet all these different industries in a room and share what you do, practice your pitch in 60 seconds or less, right? Because you want to kind of really get to what you want, what you actually do. You know, a lot of times, sometimes we get a little chatty when we go to these events and people's eyes start to glaze over, right? Right, Katanni, you know what I'm talking about. People just get long-winded. We don't want that. We do want you to kind of get a chance to meet people and everything, but to really practice your 60-second pitch, you should really just hone in on who your target market is. What do you do? You know, who do you serve? That kind of information. So we want to make sure that we help you fine tune that a little bit in real time, right? Yes. This event also includes a delicious meal. Chelsea Bell always has good food, so includes that, the networking, meeting other people, and then the toy drive. We want to be able to help a school whose parents are struggling, right? Their food insecurity is real today, so we want to be able to help some families out with not having to worry about extra toys, and we want to be able to provide that for them. So this is really a good cause all the way around. Good for you and your business, and also good to give back, which we're doing through our Gold Wellness Circle nonprofit. So
Awesome. Tell them where they can get tickets.
yes, tickets. Thank you, Katanni, for always thinking of. She's always got my back, y'all. So thank you. So lightofgoldpr.com. If you go to our upcoming events page, or even if you go to lightofgoldpr.com, our wonderful team has included a link at the very top of the page, and you could click there to go ahead and register. We have a couple of great codes that you could use to get a discount. $10 off, making your ticket only $40. And so that's going to be holiday 2024. You could use that promo code or that coupon code and get a discount off your ticket. So we advise you to go ahead and register today. It's only a week and a day away. It's going to be great.
All right, awesome.
Yes, and we're both going to be there. That should be enough of a reason to come, right? So make it a lot of fun. So let's hop into our topic, man. Our topic is about holiday hustle, branding, and marketing tips. Now, what's so good about this call is you have two experts, two people running two different businesses who have been around for a while, over 15 years. So 18 years for me. How many years for you, Katanni?
17.
17, very close. Yeah, it's been a long time. So we've been out there for a while. We've been working with different brands, different businesses, you know, running businesses full time, working with teams, working with clients. And so we're trusted resources for you. So we just want you to feel like you're in good hands with this discussion today. So why don't we just jump right into it? So, Katanni, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about what you do, and then we'll jump into the topic.
Okay, awesome. Hello, everyone. Once again, my name is Katanni Gray. I am the founder and creative director of the K District Event and Media Design. So, what I do is basically the design, branding, and management for small to, I'll say, mid-sized to large scale events. So that is conferences, trade shows, networking events, sales kickoffs, business summits, you name it. I probably have done it. I've also done personal events like birthday parties and weddings, but I've gotten a little bit away from that. Gotten a little bit away from that space, but I have dabbled in that space as well. For smaller businesses, I tend to do help with networking events or event coordination, and also more event branding. You know, developing the event marketing materials, signage, and trade show materials like your tent, your tablecloth, things like that for smaller businesses as well. So I have been doing that since 2007, but I wasn't always in events. I started out as a freelance graphic designer, kind of like a jack of all trades or Jane of all trades designer, and yeah, over the past, I'll say 7 or 8 years, I started moving more and more into events. And now I just completely throw myself into the event management and design process. So that is me in a nutshell. And I also do speaking engagements, speaking engagements, branding, pricing strategies, business operations, and all that. But events is really my jam right now.
Yes, absolutely. And we have been partnering now really for over 8 years, 8 or 9 years now. We've been working together on not just our events, but also providing a lot of these solutions together as a team. Usually, Katani covers a lot of the event side of it, the branding side of it. We cover the marketing and promotions piece of it. And so, together, we've been able to really provide some great services for our clients overall. So yes, so welcome. So glad to have you on with us today. So we are going to dive right into branding statistics. So we'll start with that. Did you know, everyone, that 64% of small businesses have a brand, but unfortunately, less than 10% of them maintain their consistency across their platforms?
Mhm.
That's a fun fact. That's a very interesting fun fact. That means that while a lot of businesses are branding themselves, they aren't always ensuring that their message, their style, their image remain consistent across every channel that they use. And in today's market, consistent branding can boost revenue by up to 20%. So
Yes.
that's an interesting fun fact, is it not?
Yes, and I want to expound on that fact because a lot of times when people think of their branding, especially when I approach smaller businesses, and I talk about their brand and I talk about building their brand, they immediately say, "Oh, I already have a logo, or I already have my business cards, or I already have my website," and things like that. And that is great. However, isn't exactly what your brand is. Your brand is actually how your audience perceives you, and how you're viewed in and in your marketplace, or viewed within your industry. And branding is a lot less tangible, um, it's less about your tangible assets and more about how you are perceived in your marketplace. So I mean, you could have a pretty logo and a beautifully designed website and great products, but if you don't really know who you are as a brand, like, for example, people think, Louis Vuitton, they obviously know that they are that's luxury. What we call a luxury. That is their brand, the luxury of it all. And when we think of and then if we think of Walmart, we think of the more economical solution for your shopping needs and all of that. So that is what that is really what your brand is. Another thing that comes to mind is Amazon. Amazon's brand is convenience. I could probably order something today from Amazon and get it later on this afternoon. So, like, that's Amazon. Amazon's brand is convenience. So when we think about, you know, when we think about a company, I don't think about their logo. I think about what they could do for me. And that's what your brand truly is. So what you do with your brand is a combination of your visuals, but also how you tell your story, how you and your staff interact with your customers and clients, the entire experience that your customer or your client has from the first time they even think about you to where they're offboarding or no longer need your product or services. That is what your brand truly is.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I love that. Loved everything that you said, and I want to tag team with what we just talked about with the branding because it's just like you said. Amazon's known for something specific. All of the brand consistency and making sure you have a call to action, making sure in your messaging. Whether it's your email message, whether it's even on social media and including those links. So, because we do a lot of digital marketing, we push a lot out. But for us, we do a combination of a couple of things to be able to sell. So, some of it is going to be on social media marketing and having a good brand helps with that, but having good messaging also helps with that. Being clear and specific about what is your ask, what is your big ask. Because a lot of times, even for us, we have to be super careful about making sure that we're very clear and specific about what we're asking for. And so that's your call to action, making sure it's very clear, crystal clear. People understand and know what they're buying, whether you're doing a series of emails that you're reaching out to people on, and it's kind of the build up for the sales message, right? Until you actually sell, or whether it's on social media, mixing up that messaging and making sure that people understand where did they click to buy, where did they click to do this. Just even with promoting our own event, we're very clear and specific. Is this is why you should come. Same thing. This is why you should buy my product. This is why you should buy my service. Why? What? And think about what you look at when you're purchasing, because we're just not business owners, right? We are also consumers.
Yep.
So how do we build trust when how do other brands build trust when for us to go ahead and click and purchase? What do we look for? And so I think what a lot of brands and small businesses, entrepreneurs, startups have to be very careful about is, are you selling to yourself or are you selling to a specific target market? Because that target market is going to be looking for certain things. They might even articulate your brand or your product or service differently from the way you would articulate it,
Mhm.
right? Right, Katani? I mean,
Exactly.
we've had
And
this discussion a lot of times. It's like, how are people articulating your brand, and is that messaging in your messaging on your social media and your emails on your website? Is it there?
exactly. I remember many moons ago, I had started a online clothing brand for tall women. I'm 5'9", so I'm on the shorter side of tall, but I just made it to the to the tall people club, right? So I remember when this started as a school project, in all honesty, when I was in college. And then after a few years after school, I decided to make it into a brand. And I remember when I first started doing my email, my email and online campaign. And social media wasn't as prevalent as it was back then as it was today, but it was just starting, right? And I found some interesting statistics about people who were interested in the brand. So I was thinking that they were going to be like me at that time, mid to late 20s, just starting their career. And but even though I wasn't selling workwear, everything was more casual. I was trying to appeal to that type of audience. But after running some ads and gathering some data from the people who were actually interested in the brand, guess who was interested? Teenagers. Teenagers and people in their early 20s. So for the time being, I leaned into that. I instead of trying to reinvent myself, like, oh, that's not who I want to sell to, like, let me just change everything up. I leaned into you know, add the teenage, that type of market. you know, Luckily, I still looked younger than I was. So so at the time. So, I played into that, and what, things that resonated more with me when I was a teenager. And then, just surveying people, like, within that demographic. My niece, who was a model at the time, and was she a teenager at the time? Yes, I'm only 8 years older than her, so I have to think about it. Um, she you know just channeling, like, just kind of channel her and all of that. And yeah, that was successful for the time that it was, until I decided that in true creative fashion, I got tired of it. So I I normally and you know, I shut it down, and I only shut it down recently, just to tell you, Deborah. Like,
Right.
it's been sitting dormant for years before I
Yes.
actually formally shut it down.
Right.
But for the time being, I it was a pretty successful brand. But then I realized that managing a clothing line is not really for me, and that's okay. That's something I feel like I've gone through, and a lot of business owners have gone through in their entrepreneur journey. You have so many ideas and you want to do them all at once, and I've never been a fan of that. I've always been a fan of working on, like, getting one thing successful and then moving on to the next. And that's what I kind of did when with Naturally Tall. That's what it was called. And and yeah,
Yeah.
it was a nice ride and very eye-opening, and at time and that's what really made me kind of move more into brand strategy and brand management within my design company.
Right.
Because I feel like before, I was like just a graphic designer, and I was basically just doing what the client wanted. I was pretty much the order taker of graphic
Yeah.
designers.
Yeah. I get.
And I realized that that's not doing a person there. That's not doing anybody any service.
Right.
So,
Right.
um, I feel like a lot of those brands that I worked with back then, with the exception of the larger brands, of course, but the
Mhm.
smaller businesses that I worked with back then are no longer in business.
Mhm.
And, not that it's on me, not that that's on me at all.
Right.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying maybe if there was a little bit more education about the importance of building your brand, building a marketing strategy and a sales strategy. I always preach, you gotta do all three. I am not the expert in all three. You're gonna hire Deborah for marketing. You're gonna hire somebody else that we recommend for sales strategy. But I've always preached that you have to have all three working together to really build and scale your business. So I know we wanted to talk about holidays. The holidays are coming up, or the holidays are here. I mean, Thanksgiving is
Yeah.
Thursday.
Thanksgiving is Thursday. Before you say that, Katani, I want to make sure that I talk about marketing statistics. We talked about branding statistics. Now we're going to switch over to marketing. These Marketing Monday and Wellness Wednesday calls are typically 30 minutes. A lot of times we go over. We started a little late today, so we probably will go over by 5 or 10 minutes. And we want to try to keep it. The way we try to do this is in bite-sized pieces, right? We know some of you are at lunch. And so we appreciate you spending your lunchtime with us. That's why we kind of do it in the middle of the day so that you can hop on with us. But at some point, we'll do it in the evening as well. That way you can be a little bit more relaxed. But I want to talk about marketing strategy statistics. According to a lot of surveys, 58% of small businesses don't have a formal marketing plan. That's a major gap, especially when we consider that businesses with a well-defined marketing strategy are far more likely to grow and stay competitive. But the good news is it's not too late to start planning for 2025. So the marketing strategy, even for our firm, we try to make sure that we plan out for at least 3 to 6 months. And Katanni knows this for having worked with us and being a partner with us. Women's History Month is in March. Right. We started talking about this like 6 months ago, 3 months ago. And we've gotten better at this over time because we realized that we can get to certain sponsors earlier, get on their radar. So part of what we do is, sponsorship, marketing strategies and everything. When you start a little bit earlier, sometimes as much as a year, right, Katanni?
Yep.
When, we both have worked with multi-million-dollar brands. Katanni can speak to this too. With a lot of events, we have to start early enough to get on people's radars. People are pulled all over the place now. Business owners, entrepreneurs, startups. It's a lot of chatter coming at us, right? So to stay on people's radar, we usually have to start that process a lot earlier these days. And so that's the other part. But a marketing plan and a marketing strategy, you got to give it some time to work. A lot of times with small businesses, especially, what we find with small businesses is they get a little anxious, right? A little anxious from the standpoint, this ain't working. Right? This ain't working. I don't have any money coming in. I've been doing this for 60 days, 90 days. Sometimes it takes time for this to kick in, right? It takes time for people to even see your strategy. Now, things that improve it is sometimes paid search, right, Katanni? Sometimes paid social media ads. Sometimes that can help when you're doing some other things. I would always say don't rely on just one particular strategy, one particular product or service, because if you have that sense of desperation where something's not really working, you have to be really careful about that, because sometimes we don't always make the right decisions when we have that sense of desperation. So we always have to be careful about that. But what I always recommend is that you give these strategies some time to work, for some time for you to execute it. Whether it's sending out follow-up emails, doing your outreach, making your phone calls, creating these posts on social media, paying for Facebook, Instagram ads, TikTok ads, all of that can comprise your strategy. And yes, you're going to have a little bit of money to be able to execute a lot of these things, to hire a marketing firm like us to help you with that. Of course, you have to have a budget for that. But if you're trying to do some of these things on your own, even without having experts like myself and Katanni, you still need time to be able to incorporate it. You need time to execute it, and you need time to measure what works from a performance standpoint and what doesn't work. And then you could be somewhat fluent and say, you know what, we tried this for 6 months, we tried this for 3 months, it didn't work. Let's go ahead and try something a little bit different, and let's tweak this. Maybe that whole system needs to be tweaked. Maybe you need to say things differently in your outreach emails. It could be a number of different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a lot that goes into it, and unfortunately we can't we can't know unless you're working with a person and we know your unique what your unique issue is. I mean, you could also be talking to the wrong audience. I just talked about how I wanted to market to a certain group and round up that only a totally different group, like my product. So Ryan Cardi, I do see your question, but I do want to go into something before I answer
And
before
we
I
want to answer your questions, everybody. So please drop your questions into the comments. We
Mhm.
know we both know each other. We're friends, and so we're also partners. So we might get a little chatty on you because this is a conversation that Katani and I have all the time. So you're kind of the fly on the wall of our whole conversation. But we do want to get to your questions. So go ahead, Katani.
Yes. So to Deborah's point, which I forgot a little bit because my short-term memory has been shot since I had a child. But so I want to go back to an original point that I wanted to make about the holidays. One thing I like to do, I feel like I'm a fairly quiet person until I know you. And while I'm in that quiet phase, I'm very observant. So I follow a lot of businesses who are in various stages of their business. They're either begin in the beginning phases and maybe not making many sales right now. They might be in the beginning phases and sales just took off right away. They could be in business for a couple of years and sale and business is going well for them, or they could be in, or the flip side, they could be in business for a couple or several years and business isn't going as well for them and they're seeing a downturn. I want to talk to the people who haven't seen many sales um and have seen a downturn. Um what I want to say to you guys is I hear a lot of, it's the holidays and people are buying. People aren't buying right now. That is the furthest from the truth. This is when people are buying. um the but it's a matter of whether or not people e- like, want, or need your service at that particular time. So let's talk about product. Let's talk about if you sell a product. Of course, people are buying right now. People should, and you need to. The strategy needs to be developed in order to get people to buy your products. The holiday season, not only Christmas, but other holidays around the US and the world that involves gift giving, that this is the time for it right now. So and then in terms of services, especially business to business services, this is the time. Q1, quarter one, is the time where people are developing their budget, especially their marketing budget or their business budget overall, their operations budget for entire 2025. So they are looking at places, right, services right now, to see what they need to implement for the next year. So if you see a downturn in business, and I'm even talking to myself when I talk about this, it's probably you. And not the market. It might be a little bit of the market. I shouldn't say that. But there is, you have to, I know this is a question that, Deborah had posed when we were speaking about today, about future proofing. You have to kind of, you got to be adaptable and, move ahead with the times. There are people, the trend I see in branding right now is sheer authenticity, no matter who you are. And, doesn't even matter I don't really want to talk about where people lean politically, but I think this past 8 years have shown that no matter who you are, as long as you stay true to who you are as a brand, you are going to have a following.
Yeah, I
And
agree with
kind
that.
of, people who are outside of that following be damned almost. I
Yeah,
mean, some people don't
yeah,
wanna go, many people don't wanna go that far, but you have to really talk to who you are. I'm not, let's get away from that landscape. You know, let's talk about, I guess, let's be completely real right here. You and I are two African American women. We know who Tyler Perry is. There are people who love him and the people who hate him, right?
Right.
But he has said that he is not going to waver on what he does because it works. No matter how many people dislike his content or dislike his dislike his movies, dislike his shows, he's a billionaire regardless.
Yeah.
And
Correct.
so
Yeah.
why are we going to um why are we going to steer away from a
Yeah.
strategy that's working? When a
Yeah.
strategy is no longer working, that's when you shift.
Yeah. So I think that's important to put out there that transparency and authenticity is really important. And so for me, even with my social media, what I try to do is show the human side of who I am and the business side. So it's like kind of sometimes you'll see a lot of Zumba posts with me in it dancing because that's who I am, right? And I don't like to shy away from too far from who I am and what I am as far as me and my brand. And but when it comes to business related posts, I post that as well. I'm very clear and specific about what I'm saying and what I'm asking for. I think we all have to be very, very careful about. Okay, oh Lord, Tyler. All right, is that Sinkus? Is that correct? I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Yeah.
They put their name in. Their name is Ryan. We actually
Hey,
met.
Brian.
I actually met them at a networking event that you and I were at a few months ago.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Hey, Brian. Thank you for joining us. And yes, oh Lord, Tyler Perry. I know, I get it. But thank you for engaging. But authenticity and transparency is very important. I even saw it personally myself. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I didn't think that that was something that I was going to be able to hide going through treatment. It was one of the hardest things I had to do that I chose to do was to share that journey. But I received, hey, Miss Melanie, I see you. That increased my followers. That was not the reason why I was doing it, but the authenticity and transparency from my journey that I shared on social media deepened the attraction. Now, I don't advise everybody to do this, it worked for me. But it deepened the attraction, my followers by maybe 40-50%. It just like went crazy out the door. And it actually kind of created a whole different brand for me with Go Wellness Circle. And so we created Go Wellness Circle really in response to COVID, but within Go Wellness Circle, we raised awareness about the importance of take self-care, the importance of mammograms and everything, and we like to help fellow breast cancer survivors with that journey. So that was part of what I did with being transparent. And sometimes we have to do that. Sometimes we have to create different brands that we can speak differently on from a social media perspective. And then sometimes you have to just show that you're a human being at the end of the day, that we're not just automated, and just kind of create these posts, and that the posts aren't really authentic to who we are. So yeah, I just wanted to share that as
Yeah.
well.
To your point, I think that this is a good segue to answer what Ryan's question, because
Yeah.
um, you you mentioned what worked for you.
Hmm.
And
Right.
the question is, what is the best strategy to make yourself known? A low value to have better outreach, or a high value to keep your standards high? And what that the answer I'm going to share, that really depends on who you are
Hmm. It
as
does.
a brand, and that really depends on the who your audience is, how your audience perceives you, how your audience perceives you, and so on and so forth. So of course, when you're starting out, you don't really know, right? So that's where the research, the case studies, and just collecting as much data as you can on who you feel you want to target, is going to matter. So I I built my brand off of education. Education has always been in the forefront of my business. It started with educating people on the importance of having a well-designed logo and well-designed marketing materials, and then it's moved on into education about your business and event overall. Um, and that's so even though I have rebranded and shifted focus, shifted audiences, and all of that. Um, that education piece never wavered, and it still hasn't. Another core value of ours is simplicity. I'd like to make things as simple as possible. I used to, like I said, I mentioned the clothing brand. Um I also had courses and did the speaking engagements, but I made that an entirely separate brand. Courses, speaking engagements, and workshops. Sorry.
Right.
And I had that an entirely separate brand. I do makeup and special effects, and I did events actually under that under
Mm.
that company. Because and it was more, since it was more film related, it was like, like red carpet premieres or listening parties for artists and things like that. And I realized, like, that's way too all over the place for me. Like,
Yeah.
I had to simplify. I had
Yeah.
to
To
really
simplify. Yeah.
simplify, what I'm doing, and bring everything, and kind of hone and bring everything in.
Right.
So, I mean, yes, I do occasionally still do special effects, makeup, and body art and stuff, and that's separate. That's separate because it's totally different from from what I do with the events and design. But everything else has gone back under back under the K district.
Mm.
And if there's something that I'm doing that falls outside of that, guess what? I still have KataniBraman.com, and that's when you get me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me. I'm the I'm
Right.
the brand in this
So
in
that
that
being
in that
said,
situation.
we want to respect everybody's time because it's already 12:40.
Yeah.
And so we'll be on for another 5 minutes. But what I wanted to do was also answer Ryan's question about I agree with Katani. It does depend on who you are as far as the best strategy to make yourself known. A low value to have better outreach, or a high value. Now I'm not quite sure. You might want to drop it in the comments, Ryan, about how do you define a low value and a high value, because I'm not quite sure how you are defining it, because it looks like the second part of your comment, or a high value to keep your standards high. So, and what is do you have a product or do you have a service? So that's what would help me to be able to better answer your question. But what I would recommend, just for something that everybody can start today, right? Something that you could do today. If you have an email list, then you can go ahead and craft uh, something that you're selling, whether it's a product or a service. We have what, about 5 weeks left in the year, right? This is also a good way to get on other businesses radar. Are you B2B or are you B2C? Are you business to business or are you business to consumer? That also determines how your approach as well. So what I would recommend, if you have a list, and if you don't have a list, go ahead. Google is your friend. Okay. You can also go ahead and look at different industries, different companies. I don't know if you have a list to work with, but you could start with something small to just go ahead and say, hey, this is what I'm selling. This is what I'm offering. I'm offering this discount. Are you interested? Do you have a website? And hopefully you do. If you don't, then that's another reason you should reach out to us, right? To help you get your brand and everything on a website, and making sure that you can send a link as opposed to attachments, because certain programs will detach your attachment, unfortunately, because of if there are for spam reasons, sometimes they get disconnected. But the other thing is social media. Do you have a following on social media? So if you have a following on social media, you can also create an image, go ahead and push out what you're selling. You could start with your own intimate following, because sometimes if you just approach them and say, hey, everybody, I'm getting started back with my art. I'm getting back to selling this journals, or I'm getting back to selling this. I'd love to get your support. This is what I'm doing. If you have a picture, an image, an offer, something like that, start where you are right now. And then you could certainly reach out to us. I don't want to forget to mention this, Katanni, but the two of us, you and I, are going to partner together, and we're going to do these webinars about branding and marketing, where we can get a small group of businesses together, whether they're product or whether they're service oriented, and address all of these types of issues and questions in real time, whether it's pricing strategy, your product, your service, how are you marketing yourself? Do you have a brand? What you need for your brand? So that's going to be really exciting that we're going to be doing that as well.
Yes, and I see that Ryan clarified that that he meant pricing services for your brand. So, in all honesty, that has to be an entire. I am the pricing. I'm pricing is something I talk to at nauseum sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, pricing is
And I
important.
think that has to be an entirely separate workshop,
Yeah,
or a Marketing Monday part 2
yeah.
all about pricing, because
Mhm.
and I feel like it's good if Deborah and I did speak about this, because I feel like we have a bit of a different perspective when it comes to pricing. I do not
Mhm.
discount my services. Unless I've known you for like at least a decade.
Mhm.
I do not discount my services. I may discount my digital products, and even that's not that very often, because my digital products are already priced pretty low. So I don't
Mhm.
feel like they need to go any lower.
Mhm.
But so that's how I approach um things. And I used to discount my services a lot, and I can go into, like I said, I could spend an entirely different
Mhm.
another Marketing Monday segment talking about why I
Right.
no longer do that.
Right. But it does depend on what you're selling,
Yeah.
because I see a lot of coaching programs with that offer. They start at 1,000, they end up, and they all have a similar methodology. Then
Yeah.
it comes down to 297 or 397. They have 1,000 people that purchased it, because they're showing the value of what they can get at this price point. But just for today, we're offering you that. So what we do is we look at promotional strategies. This is not a one size fits all type of thing. If you're depending on if you're selling a product or a service, those are the promotional concepts that we usually try to look at from a marketing perspective. Because if this is the rock bottom price, that's great. It depends on whether it's a service or a product or a program.
Yeah.
So this is not going to fit every situation. And some products, services, depending on what it is, that's part of how they sell to their customer, is to discount it. So, we're not talking about the same types of things. If it's certain services and you're working with a particular client, and this is the rock bottom price, that's different. But it depends on what the product and service is. Yeah, that's my perspective from a marketing and promotional perspective. And I've seen some great products, but they sell a lot more of them sometimes when they discount it. But they already know what the price is going to be from the outset.
Yeah.
So they may say $1,000, but they already know that they're going to sell it for $497. So that's also a strategy, and it's a discounting strategy, and it's a way to get some clients and customers in the door.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it just depends on what it is and how it is. My goodness, everybody, in a second we would have been on for almost an hour. I can't even believe that. But thank you, Ryan, and everybody for watching. We hope you enjoyed this. Again, if you're looking at us on YouTube and you like this content, go ahead and click the subscribe button. If you're following us on LinkedIn and Facebook and everywhere else, please reach out to us. I'm always looking for guests as well. But we know that this topic is important, and that you should definitely don't be intimidated by the fact that we only have 5 weeks left in the year. Go ahead and figure out an offer that you could put together for one product or service.
Yep.
Okay. And go ahead and post it on social media. Don't be afraid to do that. And then the good thing about it is now that people see that you do this and you are now on their radar, maybe they could consider this for 2025 and they'll want to buy this product or service from you. And definitely, once we can come up with the date for the webinar that we're going to do, then we'll let you know. We're hoping to do it in January, February at the very latest, but hopefully in January to help everybody jumpstart their 2025 sales. That's what we all want to do. We all want to win, all right, in 2025. So we want to work together and help. We want to all get there together. So we're going to be really excited when we put this program together for you.
Okay. The only thing I'm going to do quick is just answer one last just do a little answer to one last comment I see talking about I usually do animations for students at my campus. I never made an email list and I love to get that started. So here's what I'm going to talk. I'm just going to give a quick example of what my husband did to get his YouTube channel to 10,000 followers. Now he's not an animator, but he is, he's a content creator on YouTube. When he first started, he posted every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. And just think about how time consuming that is for a content creator, because you have to create the video, shoot the video, edit those videos, and all of that. With animation, let's with animation, you can it could be little 10-second clips of you drawing, and you could use several different software to speed those drawings up. I mentor an artist as well who used to do speed drawings for her YouTube channel. So post something every single day. It doesn't have to be about your personal life, because I see something.
No, it doesn't. I know Allison. Hey, Allison.
Commented about being an introvert.
It doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to even be your face, especially if you if you have a product or if you have a service. AI. I need to talk about AI and how to make your life easier, because I used to have a team of other designers and now it's just me.
Yeah.
And
AI is very
AI is my best friend. I gave them I have names for some of my AI assistants now. And
yes.
Going online and posting something every single day. How he built his channel to over 10,000 people. And his earlier works has several 100,000 views. He has since tapered off. Life happens. He decided to go back to full-time work. We got married. We have a family now. So now he just does it for fun and it's less for being paid now. But he still has maintained that following, even though he doesn't do what he used to do anymore.
Right. So that's very good weigh in, Katanni. Thanks for chiming in with that. So for Allison, you do not feel like you have to include anything about your personal life. And just like Katanni said, there's a lot of faceless marketing. Keep in mind my journey with that I mentioned with breast cancer, that was 7 years ago. So even 7 years ago, over the past 5 to 7 years, so many things have changed. And sometimes what that ended up birthing was a whole other wellness brand. And so it was good from that perspective to do that. But it could be just a comment. It could be a survey, asking people, hey, this is one of the things I'm doing. How has this helped you? I think I know Allison, so, if it's financial services, it could be, you might be getting a little personal, asking someone, how are your finances going right now? Maybe you could ask a certain type of question when you ask about how your taxes, are you struggling? People need to see themselves in your questions. That's what makes it resonate with them. And that is what makes them want to purchase from you. So sometimes sharing something from your own personal life and mentioning it, asking these questions, sometimes is what brings you in new clients and customers. So that's the other thing that I found is just being very clear and specific about my questions, what I'm asking, and sometimes getting a tiny bit personal. And then someone said, "Well, you know what? She's right. I really need to address this. Maybe I need to reach out to her." So having those 2 or 3 questions that you ask that will help people think about purchasing your product or service is very useful. If you're on social media, 2 or 3 questions. What do you think? Reach out to me. It could be very clear, specific, and very easy. It doesn't have to be, anything too deep when you make these posts. Last thing I'm going to share too, it's helpful to have a hashtag strategy as well, because sometimes it gets other eyeballs onto your brand. When you have a little bit of a hashtag strategy, I found other people, other businesses that follow certain topics and subjects. So when you're posting on social media, make sure you're using hashtags so that it can kind of deepen your connection with some other people who are following certain topics, and that kind of goes across the board.
Yep.
Yeah. But thanks everybody for joining us. We went a little over. We hope you enjoyed this. We hope you learned a lot. We are probably going to be doing another topic soon, right, Katanni? I think we've already created a part 2 to this, just as we talked about this. So that's going to be really great. We'll have a part 2. Come and visit us on Tuesday, December 3rd. If you're local, come right over. Listen, you could come from New Jersey, get off at Penn Station, go right to 26th and 8th Avenue if you're coming from New Jersey. But if you're coming from anywhere else, Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Harlem, Bronx, 26th and 8th Avenue at Chelsea Bell Restaurant is very accessible to get to. It's going to be a fun time. It's going to be from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. The networking is going to be stellar. This is what we do, right? We do networking, and we like to make the networking fun and engaging. So yes, the hashtags do work on FB as well. Allison, thanks for asking that question. I use hashtags everywhere. Doesn't matter whether I'm on TikTok or Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I believe in using hashtags. So all of this that we're talking about, everyone, today, we want to be able to include this in a webinar. We will share that with you. A lot of the tips that we've given you, we need a couple of webinars or a series to be able to really cover some of this. It's not all going to be within 30 to 45 minutes. It's just a little taste. Just a little taste, right? And so, yeah.
We're also going to be putting in some more, what we call intensives. Those could be about 2, 3, sometimes even 4 hours or 8 hours if we break it up into two parts. And that's getting into like the real nitty gritty of what it is, what we can do to build set your brand up for success for the following year. So
Absolutely.
Whether you are a small business that's starting or a business that's been in business for a couple of years and just need to move on to whatever your next level is, I might be maybe able to slip in a little bit of one-on-one mini session, like 5 to 10 minutes to laser focus on what your specific issue is. And then we'll go from there. So definitely stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Definitely.
We'll put that out.
Yes, and we'll be having that. If you follow us on social media, I'm on everything Light of Gold PR and Gold Wellness Circle. Katanni's at the K District. So you can find us there at the K District.com and lightofgoldpr.com. So follow us, and we'll be sharing more about everything that we have coming up. And we feel like we can win together, right? And so we want to be able to bring you the tools that will make you successful and profitable. And there's a lot of iterations of this. My company is also a minority women business enterprise. So we have our MWBE certification. We have a couple of experts who can come on and talk about that as well with our webinars. And then hopefully with Go Business Connect, we'll get, membership going to help those of you who want to go deeper consistently. And we can give you a little bit more structure and hand holding to get you to where you need to be. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Happy Marketing Monday. We will see you soon. Thanks again. Take care, everybody. Bye. Bye-bye.